A well-behaved woman is trim and proper. Chores always done, not a hair out of place. When the husband comes home, she greets him with a smile.
I'm sorry, what the fuck?
Are you tired of Hitler?
I feel no shame.
Okay, one liar as a kid can find another liar.
I want that stricken from the record.
How else is she gonna learn if she doesn't have a feather?
I can ball fuck in the big house.
You're a mess, girl.
I am here to audition for Babysitters Club extras. I brought my own hammer.
Welcome back to another episode of Well-Behaved Women. It's me, B, your host, joined with our co-host Lauren. We are once again missing Hannah. She is still in Italy. It has been weeks since we've heard from her. We're afraid she might have been kidnapped by the mafia, but we will continue on in the name of her spirit.
We pray to the good Lord Satan every evening that she shall have a safe return.
Amen. Spiritus Sanctus Sancti, whatever the fuck they say. Anyway, here we are again, once more, another week to learn about some bad bitches of history, whether they be for better or for worse, evil or good. We're not really concerned with that. We're just learning about these ladies.
Fuck yeah, we are. So today we're going to do things a little bit differently. I wrote the script kind of trying to keep it more outlines, so if we stumble through this a little bit more, that's how it fucking goes. So
Improv is the name of the game.
Yeah, fuck off. But we are going to start, as always, with On This Year.
On this year in history.
On this year. The British Royal Army Medical Corps carries...
It's really British. All right.
They carry out the first successful blood transfusion using blood that has been stored and cooled.
Gross.
The Battle of Wadi takes place when the Ottoman Empire forces defeat the British during the Mesopotamian campaign.
Fucking couch people.
And the Mexican Revolution happens, where Pancho Villa leads about 500 Mexican raiders in an attack against Columbus, New Mexico, killing 12 U.S. soldiers.
I'm trying to think when Mexican independence was. It's the 1800s?
I'll give you one more.
Not the 1800s.
No, you can be if you want to narrow it down, I can give you one more.
Yeah, one more for sure.
Yeah. The toggle light switch is invented by William J. Newton and Morris Goldberg.
Oh, whoa. Then it's probably like toggle light switch. How old are light bulbs at this point for a fucking toggle light switch? Let's call it like 1915.
Fuck, damn, okay. B wins, hey, by Price is Right, Gold.
I don't know Mexican independence, and that makes me feel bad.
I mean, you were, right... Okay, it's 1916.
Oh, damn!
You were right there!
Just goes to show you, context is everything, baby.
And when you have no one to compete against, you can be right super easily.
Yeah, but still, within a year, that's damn impressive.
That is pretty good. That is... And you're usually pretty on it with that stuff.
Mm-hmm. I like history.
Do you?
I do.
Oh,
I enjoy it quite a bit.
I'm glad. Is that why you're doing this show with us?
Yeah, yeah. As an amateur historian.
Do you like history?
Yeah.
Enjoy that part of your life?
It's mostly because I like talking.
Yeah, you like talking
about
about
history? That I'm doing a podcast, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because I like the sound of my own voice coming out of my mouth, not so much going back into my ears.
Did you get that a lot when you were growing up?
Oh my God.
Are you talking to say something, or are you talking to hear yourself talk?
Sometimes I got that. I usually just heard that I was, in general, too loud.
Oh, always.
Yeah.
I was too loud. I needed to bring my voice down. But then, if I talked at a normal voice, people would be like, well, I can't hear you.
Yeah. It's really funny now because, the disposition of being an adult who's been to therapy and has lived away from his family for the majority of his adult life at this point, how my family remembers me and how I am now are two completely different things.
Oh, completely.
So, you even said in the last podcast, because you're so quiet and soft-spoken, before we started, we're going to put this mic on you, and that's never been something anyone's ever described me as my entire life. So it's very funny to see that, people who know me in this chapter of my life know me as that chill, quiet, whatever.
Yeah.
Fill in the blank.
You're like, nah.
Yeah, historically, not so much.
I've never been able to pretend to be the quiet kid. Like, I would be quiet as I was, like, learning about people, but, I want to make friends, and people ask me stuff, and it's hard to hide my personality for long, right?
Yeah.
And I remember my first husband, like, really, he didn't love that I would get, like, really passionate about, like, explaining shit and stuff. And so that was kind of a fairly common, like, can you just not?
Oh, yeah. There were a lot of times where I was accused of yelling, and I was just, like, excited.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, that still happens with
there's
Gary, and I'm like, I'm not yelling, I'm just excited.
loud. I'm sorry.
I'm just loud. My voice raises when I get passionate about a thing. And you're the person that I'm processing my thoughts to, and especially when I'm researching a new cool fucking bitch, like, God, I want to tell someone, and I want to get excited about it.
Well, and the way you're using the word yelling makes me feel like I'm attacking you.
Yeah.
I haven't said, like, contextually, I haven't said anything that should make you feel that way. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. I think, that throws me off, too, because it's one of those, like, there was nothing about what I said that had anything to do with you. But
where did you get the intent from?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Don't yell at me. Well, I'm not yelling at you.
I'm not really yelling at you. I'm just getting excited and loud.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was always the thing. I still really don't know how to, not a good whisperer, you know?
No, me neither.
And it's not good for your voice from, like, a vocal standpoint.
No.
However, I think nowadays I just vibrate at a much lower frequency.
Yeah, I was always taught to, like, talk from the diaphragm, and that's where you project, and that's where you get your volume, and that's not where women are supposed to speak from.
No.
They're supposed to speak up here in their breathy whispers.
I mean, sure, if this is Jessica Rabbit or any porn from the 1970s.
Welcome to Well-Behaved Women.
Oh, God. Let's do ASMR on the Patreon. That's not exactly what I had in mind, but it doesn't not fit the bill. How about that?
This is NPR.
There it is. Yeah. Now we're going to get the sponsors.
Woo!
Can you imagine us on NPR? They would never.
They would never. We'd have to not cuss for a little while. And that.
We'd have to do that just to get sponsors, I think. For certain sponsors, anyway.
Certain sponsors, yeah. I think there's certain grants that, like, if we did apply for that, we'd have to...
But, you know... And I'm just throwing this out there. If some female-friendly company wants... Let's say Rabbit, Vibrate. There's a great one.
Hell yeah.
They probably don't give a shit if we swear.
Bad Dragon.
There you go. Bad Dragon. That's 2 episodes in a row. Free plug for Bad Dragon.
Fuck yeah.
Alright, anyway. It's 1915.
1916.
And we've invented the light switch.
Yes. Lyudmila? Okay, I'm gonna, up top, there's gonna be mentions of, I'm gonna mispronounce a whole lot of names.
Disclaimer.
Like, so many. There will be talks of, like, violence, and we'll get there. So, just... Alright. Lyudmila Mikhailovna Belova was born... July 12th, 1916.
Is she Russian?
Yes, she was born to parents Mikhail Belov and Elena Belova, which is, like, so Belov and Belova are, it's the male and female.
Gotcha.
They lived in a small town called the Bila Serkva, which translates to the White Church in Kiev Governorate.
Wow.
Which is now Ukraine. Mm-hmm. At the time, though, it was part of the Soviet Union. Mm-hmm. When she was 14, in 1930, the family moved to Kiev proper, and Mikhail was a card-carrying member of the Communist Party, and he served as a regimental commissar of that in the army.
All right, then.
So he was, like, actually pretty important, right?
Aye, comrade.
He was awarded the Order of the Red Banner, which recipients for that were recognized for extraordinary heroism, dedication, and courage demonstrated on the battlefield.
Don't forget bootlicking.
Yeah, you got a bootlick.
The Red Banner, I mean, come on. It speaks for itself.
Yeah. Reds. Lyudmila was she described herself as a tomboy, and in my notes it has tomboy TM, and she liked to play sports.
I wonder what they call that in Russian.
Being a kid.
No, but I mean, like, what the equivalent is in, like, a tomboy.
Oh.
You know what I mean? In the language.
That's a good question, and I have zero idea.
Curious.
I got nothing.
Write us an email.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. If you want to engage with us, tell us what tomboy is in Russian.
I know I have some Croatian friends, but I don't know about Russians.
So in high school, she was a sprinter and a pole vaulter, and she was, like, really good. She was fast. She could pole vault with the best of the pole vaulters. I don't know. She could jump real high with poles.
What is it with Russians and flying through the air?
I got nothing. She also joined the Soviet version of the ROTC.
Thought you were going to say the circus.
As she participated and excelled in this amateur sharpshooting program.
Whoa, neat.
She earned a bunch of sharpshooting. All right, this is a little bit of a tongue twister of an episode. Sharpshooting certificates.
Lady sniper.
The Voroshilov sharpshooter badge and the marksman certificate.
The sharpshooter badge.
The sharpshooter badge.
Of course.
In 1932, Lyudmila, as a 16-year-old, met and fell in love with a boy named Alexei Pavlichenko.
Sounds familiar, vaguely.
Because everyone knows an Alexei.
Yeah.
She quickly fell pregnant, and they had one son, Rostislav. And the marriage was...
What are these names?
They're Russian and Ukrainian names. I got nothing. I told you I was going to fuck them up, but Rostislav is pretty good. That's pretty straightforward.
No, I get it. It just sounds insane.
It's dumb, yeah. The marriage was not great. It fell apart real fucking quick.
What do you mean?
As a 16-year-old, I'm going to make the assumption...
They're children.
No, it wasn't the healthiest of relationships.
Oh, my lord.
It's like if Little Mermaid had actually been allowed to get married at 16.
I mean, they allowed her to give up her fucking tail for legs, so whatever.
Okay, but that was a trick.
That's a bigger commitment to me.
That was a trick. The dad did that, and in the old tale, she actually, like, literally pays the ultimate price. She dissolves in sea foam. It's a whole thing.
King Triton's a dick.
King Triton is a fucking dick. Anyway. So, when the marriage fell apart, she... moved back.
They do.
As 16-year-old marriages do.
I mean, just kind of in general at this point.
Like, yeah. And I mean, in 1932.
Right.
So she moved back in with her parents, and she brought Rostislav with her. By day, she was a grinder at the Kyiv Arsenal factory. I don't fucking know what it is. I'm going to guess she worked with metal.
Live strippers while you work for morale. Keeps the blood going.
By night, she was a student, and I think she originally just took night classes to finish high school.
Sounds like every stripper I know. Also a student.
Also a student. She's just trying to graduate. She continued on. She started working on her higher education, working in college. She was getting her college degree, and by day was a grinder. By 1937, she was attending Kyiv University at night, and then she would also come home and do chores at home, like you do when you live with your parents. It just happens. You gotta do chores.
I don't know. I haven't lived at home since I was 18.
I got lucky. My parents are in a position where they had had the space to take me in, and so for like 4 months between my lease ending in one of my apartments and the time I had to leave to go to grad school, like, I had really nowhere to go, and so they were like, just live in our basement for a little while.
No, that's fine.
Okay, great. I did like all the grocery shopping and, paid for utilities and shit, but it was like,
chill.
It was, I had the whole basement to myself, so unless they were like still up from whatever they were doing when I got home from work, it was late, I went to bed.
Sounds like best case scenario to me.
It was a super lucky case scenario for sure. I don't think Lyudmila had this because she obviously was doing a lot of other things.
Well, they also
she was also a single mom. It was a whole thing.
I was going to say they probably didn't have a basement.
Probably didn't have a basement either. No. She at university she was studying history. She wanted to be a scholar and a teacher. As you do.
All right.
I want to be a historian.
What are we teaching?
History. She wanted to be a historian.
Ah.
Since she had been such a tremendous athlete in high school, she continued that at her university. And she was on the university team also as a pole vaulter and as a sprinter.
Did she ever go to the Olympics?
Vault them poles. No, but she was trying to, she was working towards it.
All right.
On top of all of this, she hadn't stopped enjoying her sharpshooting hobby and participated in a 6-month program that was a military-style Red Army sniper school.
Jesus.
I am going to interrupt myself for a second and say, other than shooting 1,000 things every day while trying to stay hidden, what is entailed in this school? Like, okay, survival training, I gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Aiming, I gotcha. Being hidden. What takes 6 months of that?
I mean, it's probably just a lot of, like, muscle memory. You're working on developing different skills, and there's probably certain, like, tests and checkpoints that they have to pass, I would imagine. You know, I mean, any sort of Russian military is going to be, I mean, and historically, the lore was always that they were hyper-disciplined or whatever, but it seems like, and I'm not trying to have them come after me or anything, but it seems like this thing against Ukraine, they're not so disciplined at all anymore, because they're fat and lazy and drunk.
Nope.
But who isn't these days? Am I right? Anyway, I'm just...
Ew.
Yeah, so that's where I'm at. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, militaristic training just for the eventuality.
Yeah, so in the hopes that, someday when the shit hits the fan, all their people are just ready, I guess is the idea.
Yeah.
They're probably also, if they're doing, like, militarized training, I bet they're also being taught, like, basic, like, wilderness survival skills, too. Camping and fire making and shit like that. You know?
Probably.
Bushcraft.
I guess that would take time since you're trying to deal with different seasons and shit.
Yeah, develop the skills. Absolutely.
Elsewhere in Europe.
Meanwhile.
Did you
ever watch Super Friends growing up?
No.
So it was an old cartoon from like,
what is it, like
the 60s and 70s.
Meanwhile at the Hall of Justice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, back at the Hall of Justice.
I do remember that, yeah.
It's great.
And I know they make a joke about it because I watched the Harley Quinn show, and I've heard that a couple times.
The era of Casey Kasem.
Yep. When the Great War ended, Germany was on the outs with the rest of Europe. I can't quite imagine
Wait, why?
Why? She was so fucking nice to everyone.
Those silly billies.
Those silly billies. They signed a treaty with the Soviet Union, which was led by Lenin at the time. It's called the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk. Germany dictated this as a way to end violence, and soon after there was another assassination attempt to try and reignite the war, but it didn't restart things. Basically, the Germans and the Soviets, while they were trying to be friends, were like, come on, man, like, really? Don't, just, we're trying to be friends here. But at the same time, the Soviets weren't friends with anybody there either. So it was like they're both the outcasts in middle school that smell funky. And so they sit at their own little table. And then you just kind of like become friends by sheer, like, just exposure of you guys are the only ones that get to sit at that table. And you have to be friends.
Put some deodorant on, children, please.
It doesn't even have to be the smelly one. I mean, you could be the kid that picks your scabs, or the one that only talks about, like, dinosaurs. Just the ones that,
Ross?
like, don't... My sandwich!
My sandwich! Did you have a moist maker? Don't suppose that I did.
You threw my sandwich. On account of my rage.
On account of my rage, yeah,
Might I say it's quite out of control. Anyway.
I'm on sabbatical.
So both of these kids are the outcasts. They're the bad ones, and so they become kind of friends by just...
Well, of course, the misfits
exposure.
band together.
Yes, exactly. They both hated the fact that they had lost, and that the victors got to set all the limits, and that they won, and so both of these countries...
Well, that's how it goes!
Yeah, but they wanted to overturn this. They were like, you don't actually get to set the rules, even though we were kind of jerks. You don't get to do that.
Really? Alright then. Let's see how this goes for them.
So, as international outcasts and weird kids alike are wont to do, they started a little friendly relationship with the other outcasts.
Start a web.
Yep. So Germany was highly dependent on Russian exports, so it was a very beneficial alliance to them to keep that going. But as all toxic relationships do, things started to break down.
Ah, yes.
Ah, yes. As Hitler came to power, he was able to turn the tides of public support against literally everyone but blonde German dudes, and of course, himself, who was neither German nor blonde.
That's true. Imposter syndrome, for sure.
He was a man-child. We've talked about Dolstoy Legenda in
It's also a meth head.
Yeah. We've talked about all of this shit in episodes past, the concept of this great betrayal by the Jews and the Marxists, and the women in Germany who must have been fucking around on all those German soldiers while they were away at the war.
Yeah.
Everyone betrayed them.
Here we go to the conspiracy corner. Then they all flee to Argentina.
Yep. A lot of them did.
So
Not conspiracy,
many.
fact corner.
Well, the conspiracy
Who
is that
fled
who is
the
included in said
conspiracy.
group of them.
Yeah. Let's
We all know what I'm trying to say.
wildly
Hitler
speculate.
didn't die in that bunker. Fuck what you heard.
So we talk a lot about that, but we don't really talk quite as much about the fact that he did this to every single other group. So we
should do an
obviously,
episode on Ava Braun.
pardon?
We should do an episode on Ava Braun.
Absolutely, we should. We're going to. I eventually I want to get like fucking every. I want all of these characters to touch each other in one way or the other.
Whoa.
I.
That sounds.
Yeah,
sexy.
no.
That sounds
You heard me.
sexier than
You heard
anyone
me
can
right. I'm
handle.
talking big lady orgy.
Yeah, no
yep,
doubt.
That's it.
Historical orgy.
Obviously, what I want is a historical orgy. That's why I'm doing this. I am joking. That was.
You don't have to be joking. It's fine. Whatever you dream about at night is your business.
Maybe I do dream about big girl orgies.
I'm not here to shame anyone.
But Hitler obviously didn't. He was anti-LGBT, he was ultra-nationalist, and the worst...
how can we continue the Aryan race if we allow gays to mate?
Exactly. Because we can't. They'll take over, and then we'll just be dead. We'll, like, go extinct. And all of the worse this shit got, the more he was supported by a growing number of extremists. These ideas that had just seeped into the very fabric of German identity in the 1930s. Not something that we have ever seen here happen in the United States.
You shut your mouth.
Ever.
Not once.
We don't have extremism in this country.
No, we don't.
Never.
There's plenty of it.
91 indictments. Pop, 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 pop. 91 indictments.
What a mugshot.
I know.
The system is...
The whole system's fucked, but to see the...
It's a
at least,
joke.
yeah, whatever.
It's a joke.
Basically, if he gets indicted for one of these things, like not even a third of these things, he'll spend the rest of his life in prison, and that's all I want.
It just proves that the masses are stupid.
Yeah, for sure. Anyway, back to... I mean, speaking of dictators, how much do you know about Lenin and Stalin?
I mean, I could use a refresher, but I learned about them. I'm not... I recently heard a comedian joke about this, so I was laughing. I'm not like one of those white guys that's obsessed with World War II shit. Like, there's some of it that I find very interesting, but it's the shit that doesn't exactly fit together that I find the most interesting. The stuff that is obviously lies and cover-ups more so than anything. I'm not one of those weird guys that's just super into World War II stuff, so I don't necessarily know a ton, like, offhand about former Russian dictators.
Which is totally fine.
Yeah.
You don't have to know...
I know
really
they were
much at all.
awful. I know that they killed a lot of their own people, more so than even the Holocaust, which is wild.
Yep.
But, yeah, I mean, they're crazy.
We'll probably get into this more, like, into these leaders more in future episodes.
Yeah,
But,
well, they were oligarchs, too, right? Like, they were very religious, like these Russian powerful, people.
but for the very basics, they were leaders of the Soviet Union, one after another. So Lenin started, he developed Leninism. Stalin came in, he followed the leadership of Lenin.
Right.
And then combined
The wall was Lenin, right?
I think...
Like during the time of Lenin?
I think so.
Yeah, I thought so, too.
I think so. And then Stalin came in, combined Leninism with Orthodox Marxism to form this ideological makeup of the Soviet Union while he ruled. From Wikipedia, just straight up from Wikipedia, Leninism is the function of the Leninist vanguard party, is to... The function of the Leninist vanguard party is to provide the working classes with the political consciousness, education and organization, and revolutionary leadership necessary to depose capitalism.
All right.
Orthodox Marxism maintained that Marx's historical materialism was a science which revealed the laws of history and proved that the collapse of capitalism and its replacement by socialism was inevitable. The implications of this deterministic view were that history could not be hurried, and that politically, workers and workers' parties must wait for the material and economic conditions to be met before the revolutionary transformation of society could take place.
Which is an interesting theory.
It is. It's very interesting, especially like looking at kind of the labor issues that we see now. Mm-hmm. You got to wait for the right time, but when is the right time?
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's a huge gray area. It's hard to know when the right time is, and it's like there's a little bit of what's funny about that to me is that it's very much the same of like Christianity's pray and wait.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you might not know, but you may interpret this sign
I know what is going to come. I don't know when it's going to come, but I can use any sign that I deem worthy to be the harbinger
it
of
allows
that
you
thing.
to interpret it for yourself.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
Which is very vague, and it's
That's the
very
point,
frustrating.
though. That's the way they are able to rule and justify all these
and
different
it's like,
things.
you know what, your time is coming. You will overthrow capitalism for sure at some point, but you've just got to wait for it. You got to be patient.
And the be patient thing almost is like a virtue signal. Like,
yeah.
It's like, you're giving this illusion of being a good follower, a good whatever.
Right.
That's wild.
Yeah, it's insane. And, like, both of these things trying to work together, I like the idea that it's a goal to take down capitalism, but it still rules everything. And so it just screws over the workers and in favor of all of this.
It feels very shadow government-y.
It is very shadow government-y, and it's like, we do say that this is our ultimate goal, but we never said when that ultimate goal would be realized.
Or how it's going to start.
Or how we're going to do it,
Yeah, exactly.
And in these goals, Stalin wasn't exactly peaceful in those efforts. He was, people died. A lot of people died.
Turns out.
Lots of people died.
Millions
Stalin
of people.
Didn't have a great reputation.
No.
And Hitler used that less than perfect approach.
As a model.
Yeah,
and that I remember learning in school.
Yeah, he used this idea of like, okay, well, Stalin was trying to topple capitalism, and he's doing it the wrong way. So that is why we've got to go and kill them all, because we need to basically kill that idea in, before it spreads. We've got to spread our word, which was a form of socialism. Mm-hmm. And socialists now are like, nah.
It's quite oppressive.
Very different type of socialism.
Yeah.
So basically Hitler's like, all right, let's do this. We're going to go and invade and attack a nation that's about 20 times the size of Germany at that point. Little man syndrome, like you would not believe. I mean, who the fuck think... It's the ultimate David and Goliath story, and thinking, like, David going, yeah, obviously, I could freaking take down that fucking giant. So Hitler starts talking shit in the 30s, and they have this non-aggression pact, and he's deciding how to get through this loophole. So he's making other agreements. He has no intention of keeping any of these agreements for peace. And as a caveat, in the middle of here, I am not a World War II historian, and if I fuck the order of this up on or miss big things, I'm sorry, I'm trying, but also fuck you for being so fucking picky. In 1939, Germany started working their way through Poland. This is a nation that was between Russia and Germany at the time, and it was a big betrayal to a lot of non-aggression pacts, as they were not supposed to be invading other people, and they were only supposed to have 100,000 soldiers at all. And it was really concerning to Russia, who saw this as a huge bright orange flag. Like, okay, they're coming a little bit closer. Getting a little bit closer to our backyard, and we don't like that. And by December 1940, it was super obvious that Hitler's ultimate target was Russia. The Soviets were keeping out of the fight because they really didn't want any trouble, and officially, Soviet Union and Germany were still allies. first they didn't speak for the Germans because they weren't German, and then they came for the Polish, and then they didn't speak for the Polish because they weren't Polish, but then they were pretty far into Poland, and they weren't slowing down, and so that concerned Stalin quite a fucking bit.
Wait.
Hold on.
Okay, now we can do something.
Wait, hold on now. You're getting too far. So, back to Lyudmila. She is a senior in university. She's getting ready to live her life. She's got Rostislav in tow, and she is going to be a professor of history. Mm-hmm. And then it came war. Terrible war. Ah, my leg! Johnny! They got Johnny! No! We're about to talk about war. So, in June of 1941, Nazi Germany invaded the Soviet Union. Stalin's like, that's it, we're not doing this. Fuck this. So, Lyudmila...
Well, we waited, and here we are.
And
now they're inside.
Now they're here. Now they're at our back doors. Lyudmila went down to Odessa, which is a little peninsula at basically like right at the entry to the Black Sea. Mm-hmm. She was in the first round of volunteers for service in the military to help fight against the Nazis.
The Nazis.
All right, I'm going to say this up top.
Killing Nazis.
Yeah, well, I'm saying it up middle. I'll say the Axis and the Allies. I'll say the Nazis. I'll say the Germans. If I say any of this, assume that there's going to be Romanian people in there. There's going to be lots of other armies that fought with the fucking Axis forces. And if you stand with a Nazi, you're a fucking Nazi. So if I say a Nazi, it means any one of those Axis bastards
at
that
the
was
very least,
fighting
you're a
with
Nazi
them.
sympathizer.
Yeah, and that makes you a Nazi. If
But
there's
also,
9
and we do
people in
know
a room,
that a lot of these small countries were pressured into, donating their armies to the German cause because they were invaded and taken over.
Yes.
And that's, not exactly up to them. And some of them did have, the courage to leave, and a lot of them were killed for trying to leave. So,
for sure.
That's not to say anything bad about those particular individuals. But, it's pretty rough. If you're fighting for the Nazis, you are a Nazi.
Yep.
In fact, that's how that works.
That's what we're going with in this episode, at least. And I do, have a lot of individual sympathies. We're talking about the forces.
Unless you're a German scientist, and then you get a pardon at the end, and you'll get dealt around like the fucking fantasy football draft.
Yeah, exactly.
But we'll talk about that in a second, I'm sure. Welcome back to the Conspiracy Corner. Behind the scary door.
I'm going to have to get a picture of you, just in the dark with one single lighter. That'll be Conspiracy Corner with Big B.
Told you, literally every episode I could tie a conspiracy to it.
So, Lyudmila is one of the first people that goes into the military to try and fight the Nazis. And
Killing Nazis.
When she tried to sign up as infantry, she was laughed at.
No, she's one.
Yeah. Surely she wanted to stay in school.
I don't say that saying.
Or even be a nurse. She wanted to be a nurse for sure.
Leave it at that. I'm just saying that's what what I told her.
When you make those types of responses, that's pretty much what my assumption is obviously that's the response for that moment.
Yeah, that's the historical response.
That's the whole fucking
That's not how I feel.
Yeah. No. I know.
I know, but some people might not know.
That's not how he feels.
I don't want people to think I'm some kind of fucking misogynist.
You are here to serve as the male voice, though, which can be confusing.
Yeah, but I'm not a
No.
Not a scumbag. I mean, I can be. I can play one. If we need that juxtaposition, but...
No, but I like that you immediately also call out the very obvious thing, duh.
Yeah. Get back in the kitchen.
Get back in the kitchen.
Uh-huh.
Or in the hospital.
Joke.
They wanted her to be a nurse.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can still help. We just need you to nurture people.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Use your womanly talents.
Yep. So, Lyudmila, when she went to the office, she already had, all of these things, so she showed them multiple awards that she'd earned, and certificates and badges that more than qualified her to be in a position to carry a gun. So, at that point, the registrar had, zero reason to refuse her, so they accepted.
Sweet.
And one of the things about wartime recruitment is that you really don't get a lot of training to be a soldier.
Wait. What?
Yeah.
Back it up.
When it's peacetime, there are drills on drills on drills, and you've got scheduled things, and you've
What
got...
even is peacetime?
Right.
Have we ever had peacetime?
Actually, let's think about that. In American history, like...
We're always involved in a conflict
In world history,
somewhere.
have we ever had a period of time where there wasn't a war going on?
Like, maybe...
Like, one moment of global peace.
Yes, right. At the end of the war, and then within a year, there's shit
was
popping
shit
off
again,
again.
yeah. Fuck. Back when there weren't so many people, I think there was a lot more peaceful times because we weren't trying to encroach on each other's territory, but even back then we were treating people like pieces of property, so I don't know.
You know the answer, write to us at wellbehavedwomenpodcast@gmail.com.
Yep. That's a perfect plug. Good job.
Thanks. I'm trying to squeeze it in.
But because, obviously, so wartime, if in theoretical peace times, when you're not actively fighting battles, you can go and do your 6-month training programs. You can go and, do your weekend trainings that, the reserves here do, just to kind of keep up on your skills. Here, it's, very quick basic training, then they drop you off in a fucking battlefield. And so they dropped Lyudmila off in a fucking battlefield, unarmed. We'll come back to that in just a second.
Sus.
Yeah.
Also, I feel like we should back up for a second.
Yep.
We don't really say this on the pod ever, and I feel like sometimes we don't look up the answers to things, and anybody listening might feel like it's lazy, but we purposefully don't use our phones to do extra research, so it's more like a campfire story type of a vibe.
Yeah, it really is.
There are things that we learn afterwards if we remember to look them up, but just in case anyone's wondering why we don't look shit up, we try to keep... Otherwise, it takes fucking 5 hours.
Don't just be quiet and then all of a sudden, boom, talking again. It'll interrupt the flow of the conversation, all that shit. Oh, do you want this thing?
Sure. Cool.
Boob mic.
Boob mics. All right, so what you missed, we've got a woman named Lyudmila Pavlichenko, and she grew up in Kyiv, and Germany has just invaded Russia.
Oof.
And she has gone down to the coast of the Black Sea to a little town called Odessa and signed up to be in the infantry.
Backstory: she's an educator by trade.
She's in college to be a historical professor.
But as a sharpshooter in her free time.
Yeah, as a fun thing. She's got a bunch of certificates and badges and shit.
And has 6 months of some sort of militarized training.
Okay.
Ish, but not actually the military training.
Right.
So she signs up for the military at the wartime, and at very best she has a few drills and I think a 6-month intensive sniping program, but that was it. Some soldiers were freaked out. They tried to run from the battlefield. For their cowardice, they were shot by their own army. Soldiers who were captured by the enemy were punished further by having their families' rations taken from their family. It was quite the incentive for all of these soldiers to be loyal to the Soviet Union.
Starve the children.
Or die for their nation.
I don't teach them.
Basically, if any alive soldier that's in a less than perfect position is a soldier that's actively punishing their family.
It's this or nothing.
Literally. It was better to die honorably and make sure that your family still had rations than to get taken. She joined the Red Army's 6th Chapayev 25th Rifle Division and became one of 2,000 female snipers in the division.
Pew pew.
I said the stupidest idea. After you said taken, the image of Liam Neeson and Taken, 1942.
I don't know who you are, but I will find you, and I will kill you.
Is that Liam Neeson?
It's the Russian.
Stop.
He could play multiple people in the same universe.
Yeah, I would like to think that every universe has a Liam Neeson, right?
Alright, so let's talk about a little bit of the life of battle and war. This is kind of where this trigger warning is for the discussion of warfare and battle and all that shit.
Go.
Yeah. So most of the warfare that took place in the European theater was the war of attrition. Attritional warfare is the practice of basically sabotaging the efforts of the enemy by guerrilla warfare, by equipment sabotage, by wearing down the enemy just to the point of inevitable collapse.
Burning crops and factories.
Right.
And...
As a modern comparison, we've got Ukraine that's stuck in an attritional war right now, and they're doing amazing. You're doing so well. You sabotage the fuck out of Big Bad Putin. Fucking take that. Good job.
Some real, like, Saving Private Ryan shit.
Yes, very proud of you. A lot of the fighting that actually did happen was really brutal. You had bombs and mortar shells that would explode on impact, constant gunfire. You've got tanks and you've got planes and all the manner of bullshit that's trying to kill you at the same time all around the clock. I mean, literally it was like shooting fish in a barrel, but with humans and from planes and tanks and...
Towns of fish, people of the barrel.
Damn.
It's one of my favorite lines from Tommy Boy.
So good. One of my favorites is the roll. Do you pet it? You're too rough. Oh no!
Naughty, you're naughty. I killed him! I killed my pet!
Oh God!
And that's when I blew it.
So, we've got all of this shit that's trying to kill us all the time. We've all seen enough war movies to know that, like, oh, they got me, Johnny! They got me! Thelma, I loved her! It's, like, brutal, it's bloody, it's dirty, everyone's laying in the mud, you got the wires behind you with the big X's and all this shit. It's always in the demilitarized zone. The winters are awful because they're literally in these mud ditches, basically
getting the trench foot.
Yep, you're trying to outstarve each other because your enemy's also in the trenches and they're trying to outstarve you, and so you're all full of infections and coughs and diseases and
Every time
frostbite.
my feet get wet in boots during the winter, I'm like, this is what trench foot feels like. This is how it ends.
How about the other day at Trader Joe's when he stepped in the gutter?
I stepped in a puddle in the parking lot, and it had been raining earlier that day, and I was wearing sandals. It ruined my day.
She had a full-on meltdown in the car.
I was not okay after that. I needed to spend some time under a weighted blanket, but instead I had to drive home still.
Yeah, you have to be a functional human.
Yeah. There were no weighted blankets at Trader Joe's for whatever reason.
And I can't exactly hug you while you drive.
Anyway, we're back in the battlegrounds, which is also...
Trench foot! Trench foot! Sorry. I just come here to distract everyone.
You come here to break me, and then you did it. Anyway, basically, it's horrible. You're on active battlegrounds. If you're not taken out immediately by shrapnels or bullets, you're prone to colds, infections. It's cold, it's wet, it's unsanitary. There's dead bodies around. There's rotting. There's animals that carry other diseases. You get the gist. Lyudmila is sent into battle. She is infantry. Yay! She gets to shoot people with the guns. She's in a combat role. And she has one fragmentation grenade.
That's it.
There was a weapon shortage in the Red Army, obviously, so they gave what they could to the soldiers. And so she went out on the battlefield with one fragmentation grenade.
I love it.
Yeah.
I just imagine, like, her within one hand, running out like...
Don't make me pull this pin.
Literally. Like, just with pen in hand. Like, putting it in and pulling it out, just like...
Now I'm thinking of, like, Animal on a battlefield doing exactly that. There's a weapon shortage, obviously. So her whole division, with their weapon shortage, they're sent down to the peninsula of the Black Sea called Odessa. It is a very strategic point for Russia because it's their biggest port and it's a connection to the rest of the world. It's their entry to the Black Sea. And the bombing of the city started on July 22nd, 1941. She arrived in early August. So there she is. She's hiding out in the battleground. She's armed with nothing but a... So there she is, hiding out in the battleground, armed with nothing but a fragmentation grenade, and people are actively trying to kill her.
No big deal.
No big deal.
It's turned into Rambo really quick.
Thought more like Orange is the New Black. So there I am, sitting on a tractor, barbecue sauce on my titties.
Ah. Beautiful.
But yes, it is very Rambo. So shots are firing all around. Soldiers on both sides are falling. Bodies are piling up around her. And then a comrade fell. In his last moment, he gave Lyudmila his gun, which was a Mosin Nagant 1891 bolt-action rifle. She picked it up, turned around, and in an instant shot 2 enemy soldiers.
Yes, girl.
Yep. Lyudmila called that her baptism by fire. She's like, I'm in it now. And she was really fucking in it.
She said, now that I have killed, I have the taste.
Nostrovia, Queen.
The battle she was in was named, in the end, the Siege of Odessa. Though there was active fighting throughout the entire 73-day affair, much of it was, again, a war of attrition. During this 2.5-month affair, Lyudmila was credited with 187 kills of Axis soldiers.
Hilarious.
See,
She got the
developed
taste.
the taste.
She figured it out real fucking quick.
She said, I'm good at this.
Lyudmila was one of 2,000 women snipers, like I mentioned. So, 2,000. I looked it up, and the only bits and bytes of information about these women are in connection to Lyudmila's overall story. Alright, so, we are going to talk a little bit for a few minutes about all of these other women snipers.
Lady
Fuck
snipers. So that's just crazy that they were out there
doesn't have
letting
to be.
ladies be snipers.
Yeah.
They needed people. It didn't
yeah.
matter.
And it doesn't have to be a conspiracy. We can just speculate wildly about the other details that we don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, we do know a little bit about the crew.
Right.
Only
Like, as many facts as we can pump into it.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
there
for
will
sure.
be, obviously, if there's only so much information, there will be things we'll ask that we don't know, that we can't know.
right.
We can just make the shit up. That can be a little short.
We'll speculate wildly.
Exactly.
It's just a whole show about us speculating.
Yes, that's what a conspiracy is. Speculation.
Speculation.
Now I want to pull out the conspiracy book that I have and see if there's any in there that are about women in particular.
I have been really... Okay, that's another piece of engagement. If anybody listens to this show and knows about a weird conspiracy involving women, I want to know about it.
That's wellbehavedwomenpodcast@gmail.com.
That's wellbehavedwomenpodcast@gmail.com.
Courtesy of Tool Time, that's Tim Taylor.
P.O. Box. Detroit, Michigan. Oh, gosh.
Anyway, so all of this information that I'm about to give you, I'm literally just going to read it directly from a website called Last Stand on Zombie Island.
Nice.
That sounds awesome already.
Right. Tatiana Ignatovna Kostarina,
Sure.
a young soldier of the 691st Rifle Regiment. Tatiana had more than 125 confirmed kills in her career on the Eastern Front. Just 19 years old when the war broke out, she assumed the command of an entire infantry battalion in 1943 after commander and most of the staff had been killed.
Wow.
Dope.
All right,
Is
Toby.
that 261? Is that what you said?
125.
No, what battalion?
691st.
691st.
Yeah.
We can make like patches or stickers with 691 on them.
Nina Pavlovna Petrova was born the century before. She was nearly middle-aged when the war came to her country. Volunteering for service, she went to sniper school and took 122 enemy soldiers in her sights before being killed at age 53, just 7 days before the end of the war.
Wow.
Rosa...
Was she killed? How did she die?
She was killed.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, we've got Rosa Georgievna Shanina. Fighting on the 3rd Belarusian Front, she was dubbed the Terror of East Prussia.
Love it.
Spending most of her time in a military as a teenager, she took no less than 54 confirmed kills. She specialized in moving targets.
Cars.
What?
I said like cars.
Yeah. Talking about repulsing an attack by German infantry on a unit of all-female snipers, she said, "Some fell from our well-aimed bullets, some we finished with our bayonets, grenades, shovels, and some we took prisoners, having restrained their arms." She would never see Russia again, killed in action at age 20, while shielding the severely wounded commander of an artillery unit.
Wow.
So she literally died on the battlefield protecting her fellow soldiers.
Her commander.
Yep.
Jesus.
Klavdia Kalugina. At the age of 15, when the war began, Klavdia started work in a munitions factory, and by age 17 she'd volunteered for the local sniper school and was accepted. A girl with patience and enthusiasm, she was soon on the front lines working with another girl, Marusia Chikvintseva, in a sniper/scout team. There, with a PU-scoped Mosin, I don't know how to pronounce this, it's either Nagant or Nagant or Nagant, I don't know. Nagant, so I'm going to call it Nagant. Mosin Nagant rifle, and wrapped in camouflage, the two females engaged targets out past 500 meters and sometimes as far out as 1,200. In a later interview,
What's that in American?
1,200 meters is like...
It's just times.
It's like 3,600 feet.
Feet.
I was going to say
About 4,000 feet. Yeah, it's about 4,000 feet.
And how many feet?
5,280.
Yep, Denver. That makes sense. I live here. I should know that.
It was in there. Don't worry.
Yeah.
You'll figure it
There
out.
were a lot of calculations going on just then.
Yeah, there were. I didn't even have time to break out the calculator.
So in a later interview, she explained...
But also, for those that don't know, that's a fucking long-ass shot.
That is
1,200 meters is I think the world record is like maybe close to 2,500 or something. I don't know. I could be wrong about that.
But in Battlefield, that's crazy.
Yeah. No, that's a fucking huge shot.
In a later interview, she explained the nature of her work. Quote, because snipers' task was to eliminate commanders, machine gun emplacements, messengers that would be running around. They also had to be eliminated. Soldiers were not necessary, mostly officers, commanders. You would fire one shot, let go of the rifle, and lie there. You would wait until your partner fired her shot. When it became dark, we left our position. During the day, we walked around, looked for a good spot to lie in the wait. Sometimes we picked a spot in front of our trenches. After picking a spot, we took up the position when it was dark. Then we lay there without moving a muscle until the next evening, because you couldn't crawl away in the daylight. If there was an attack, that was different. Then you would get up and run. Otherwise, you would lie in that spot to the end. Other female Soviet snipers include Yekaterina Zhdanova, who had 155 kills. Yeah, you can both nodding over there like, sure.
Yeah, Russian. Yes.
Liba Rugova with 242 kills.
Finally, a name that somebody can pronounce.
Ina Semyonova.
Nope, we lost.
Mudritsova, with 143 kills. Vera Ivanovna Artamonova, who had 99 kills. Nina Lobkovskaya, who had 89, and the trio of Lubov M. Makarova, Alexandra Yevgenievna Vinogradova, and Maria G. Zubchenko, who all had 83 each. Just these 8 women alone accounted for more than 1,000 invaders when the chips were down. One all-female company of 100 trained snipers was led by Captain Nina Alexeyevna Lobkovskaya, which made it all the way to the Battle of Berlin. These female snipers served not only in the army, but in the navy as well, with naval infantryman Yelizaveta F. Mironova of the 255th Marine Brigade being credited with an even 100 kills. End quote.
Just.
Alright, so that was all from the Zombie Island thing. Outside of the websites that list them out like this, their Wikipedias are really, really paltry, so... But I didn't want to forget them, because all of them had a lot of kills, and obviously were very talented. So, Lyudmila finally gets her first gun in August, literally in the middle of the battlefield, and she's very quickly promoted to senior sergeant. She adds a whole stack of Nazi bodies to her resume.
Nice.
We love a stack of Nazi bodies.
Yep.
Best kind.
But, war can make you do some crazy shit.
That it can.
Wow.
Yeah. Lyudmila fell in love. Another sniper.
Oh, gross.
Yeah.
That's not where I thought we were going with this. I feel led astray now.
We didn't want this to be a love story.
Yeah, no.
Oh, I came here for people to shoot.
Yeah, gross. Get back to the murder.
Get back to the shooting. Another sniper, Alexei Kitsenko, had hit the bullseye of her heart, and they quickly got married.
Bullseye of her heart. That's so gross.
Send that to Hallmark.
Yep. So, And she also, like, that's the second Alexei that she got married to in very quick succession. Like,
trauma and all.
Something about the name Alexei, man. I don't know.
Something about names for people.
Yeah, no, my aunt did that. She
I know
married
plenty of people
2
who
marks in a
remarry.
row.
Yeah, I know plenty of people
Neither
who've
of
done
them
shit
were
like
great.
that.
I'm sure.
So,
And Tammy 1, Tammy 2.
yeah, see, it's
Diane
not good
one,
for
Diane
anybody.
two.
Yeah.
No, I think it's unhealthy.
I got it.
I think you should almost have, like...
Like, you're not allowed to marry anyone
Yeah.
else named this.
Kinda.
Yeah,
For an extended period of time, at least.
Yeah.
yeah.
10 years.
Some sort of statute of limitations. There has to be. Otherwise, it's just weird and gross.
God forbid your name is, like, the name that you get really hot and bothered by is, like, John Smith.
I don't
Think about
get...
all the people who aren't named John Smith that you can just...
But also,
But what
it's
if
like,
that's what really, like, gets them?
is it the name, or is it the memory of the other person who had the same name? I don't
Well,
know.
it's the knowledge that whenever you're accidentally, like, let out the name when you're sleeping with someone, you never have to worry about calling them the wrong name.
Which feels
Because it's always the
lazy
same thing.
and a little predatory. I'm not gonna lie.
That is not my opinion. I'm just I'm
No, I know.
fucking with
I
it.
hear you.
Okay.
You're not saying that's your style. How many other Garys were there?
She's actually exclusively into Gary.
Yeah.
It was the snail that started it all.
Well, now you have to ask Gary, how many other Laurens did you date?
I'm the only Lauren he's
All
ever
right,
dated.
well, there you go.
Yeah. Yep. I was married to a guy named Aaron, and after I got divorced, I did very briefly date a dude named Aaron. But,
Did
like,
it feel weird?
not really, because I almost never called him that.
That's another thing.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't have to say his name a lot.
That's definitely
If we were
part of
together, I didn't have to say
But
that.
you have pet names. At a certain point, their name becomes Babe or whatever.
Yeah.
Fill in the blank, whatever
I'm
you...
whatever. He just calls me or whatever.
When I was a kid,
Give me
my mom
whatever.
hated when we would say the name, when we would say whatever. She'd be like, what do you want to do today? And we'd be like, whatever. And I don't remember what it was, but one time she got so tired of it, so she was like, I just hate when you use the word ever. Say yes ma'am or no ma'am or whatever.
Ha! Got her.
That. We just sat and let her think about it for a second. She's like,
Ah, shit.
ah, fuck.
Damn kids.
So, something about her quick marriages to men named Alexei. This was a whirlwind romance, and it burned bright and hot and fast. Yeah, you're touching this table like a
I'm
motherfucker.
trying to not touch the table, and you're like shoving my leg into the table.
I got a little fidgety, I'm sorry.
This is what happens with ADHD podcasters.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've also been going for a few hours today.
Yeah.
ADHD is rampant in this.
That's okay.
Pod zone.
We do Twitches. We'll figure it out. And literally right now we're like using 2 different systems for 3 different microphones. We've been switching. No one who listens to this is under any illusion that this is in any way a professional podcast, okay?
Well, it's not that we don't have the knowledge, we're just lacking in the funds.
Yes.
For those who may be critical,
Yeah.
we know what we need. We're just building it up.
Yep.
Yeah.
So if you're frustrated by that, send us money.
Kick rocks.
No, the money.
Send us money. Help us fix that.
Money first.
If you're frustrated
Then
by
rocks.
it,
You can kick
help
rocks
us
all you
fix
want.
it.
Yeah,
But-
I mean, become a donor and kiss my nuts.
Fuck.
Uh-huh.
So she had this whirlwind romance, and then very quickly after the wedding, Alexei got hit with a mortar shell.
Whoa.
Aw.
Yeah, he.
So that happens when you fall in love with a soldier.
Yeah, and when that, love burns super bright and hot, so it fades. He died a few days later,
Can you imagine
and
if that was
basically
like an
she was fucking heartbroken.
It's, yeah.
That whole thing
how could
extinguished
you not be?
like that.
But can you imagine that that's like an old Russian saying now? Like, don't fall in love with a soldier or he'll die from a mortar shell.
Mortar shell, yeah.
You know, like some of your grandmother
just get
tells you.
hit by a mortar shell.
But, it has like a better ring to it. in
Oh, that's what I'm
Russian.
saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Sounds
Don't
all
fall,
old
don't fall
worldly.
in love with a soldier, or he'll get hit by a mortar
Yeah,
shell.
tell them to me in Russian or Croatian, whatever Slavic language you're speaking. It probably sounds pretty similar.
I actually speak none of them, so.
I'll ask Ivan when I go back to work this week.
Okay.
Hit by a mortar shell. I got nothing. So obviously Lyudmila's completely fucking devastated. She's heartbroken, but she couldn't just stop what she was doing, so she kept going. She kept fighting, she kept shooting. She
channeled that rage.
She would get injured, and then she would recover, and she'd go right back to battle.
That's what soldiers do.
Yeah, she had nowhere else to go, and no one else to come home to. So, I mean, other than like Rostislav, but she wasn't gonna leave the battle lines to go home to her kid.
Yeah, why would she do that?
Who likes their kids? I mean, really.
No, but I mean, abandoning the battle, the front lines of battle is a hugely traitorous act. She would be putting them in massive amounts of danger.
So who's taking care of this damn kid?
Her parents. So when Odessa was finally overtaken, her unit was shipped to Sevastopol, which is on the Crimean. So the map of the Black Sea, it's okay, it starts kind of here, and Odessa's right here, and then Sevastopol kind of looks like a little testicle that kind of hangs out in the middle of the sea. And so, the Crimean Peninsula looks like just a little ball. Like one of those little dangly, those little weird mole things that grow on people's necks that are just little spots. It dangles like that into this Black Sea. And Sevastopol's right at the bottom of the ball.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah. So they leave by sea and they go right over to Sevastopol to go start fighting over there. She was... they literally retreated right into the sea, climbed aboard a boat, and then took off. And by the time she got there, Lyudmila was more than known for her skills. She trained other snipers, and then they would go on to kill hundreds of Nazis, their own damn selves. Lyudmila joined the siege of Sevastopol. Unlike the siege of Odessa, Sevastopol was proving a tricky bitch for the Axis forces to crack. They'd overtaken most of the Crimean Peninsula already, so most of the ball was already Axis forces, but Sevastopol was that one little holdout at the bottom. And the active battles waged on in the autumn months, and there was a planned attack that was in November, but then it rained, so the attempt was delayed until mid-December, at which point it also failed. So Sevastopol was just okay, we're in it, we're Soviets, that's fine. So again, they tried to just starve them out and shit. The Soviets held their ground, though, and it lasted all through the winter and into the next summer. And in May of 1942, Lyudmila was promoted to Lieutenant Pavlichenko.
Wow. Damn girl.
But this massively talented sniper had gained her own unofficial, but far more badass title. Because of her recorded, at that point, 257 kills, she was more infamously known as Lady Death.
Yes.
Yes.
Amazing.
Love a good name. A good title. By May, the Nazis were done with the waiting. They decided to come land, sea, and air with this fucker. And in June 1942, they started Operation Storfang, which was called, translated, it means surge and catch. An intense campaign to capture the city through heavy bombardment. Shells dropped, bullets flew, and over 4 intense weeks, the Soviets fought bravely against the Nazi effort. From Wikipedia, the German Air Force Luftwaffe played a vital part in the siege, its 8th Air Corps bombing the besieged Soviet forces with impunity, flying 23,751 sorties and dropping 20,528 tons of bombs in June alone. The intensity of the German airstrikes was far beyond previous German bombing offensives against cities such as Warsaw, Rotterdam, or London. At the end of the siege, there was only 11 undamaged buildings left in Sevastopol. The Luftwaffe sank or deterred most Soviet attempts to evacuate their troops by sea. The German 11th Army suppressed and destroyed the defenders by firing 46,750 tons of artillery ammunition on them during the Starfang.
Priorities.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And just like most good hustles out there, this too ended in defeat.
Oh.
Yep. So from Wikipedia again, finally on July 4th, 1942, the remaining Soviet forces surrendered and the Germans seized the port. The Soviet Separate Coastal Army was annihilated, with 118,000 men killed, wounded, or captured in the final assault and 200,481 casualties in the siege as a whole for both it and the Black Sea Fleet. Axis losses in Storfang amounted to 35,866 men, of whom 27,412 were German and 8,454 were Romanian. It was during this intense battle in June of 1942, Lyudmila was struck. She'd been injured a number of times before, and nothing had ever kept her from the battlefield. But mortar shells can fuck you up.
Yeah.
And when you got hit in the face with one, it fucks you up real bad.
Yeah.
So it was immediately apparent that she was not going to be able to return to the battleground for a while, if fucking ever. And she, she's hit in the face. It was reported. Soviet High Command on that battlefield immediately ordered her evacuation via submarine. They were on the shores of the Crimean Peninsula. They're fighting for their lives. And they actually, it actually made logistic sense to get her into a fucking submarine and scuba her ass through the rest of this. Submarine her ass through the whole Black Sea. Inland, I guess.
Yonder.
How do you say that? West, on the eastern shore.
Yonder.
Yonder. Mm-hmm. That's a better word.
Mm-hmm. It's really applicable.
They go out yonder.
Almost all situations.
Luke's been saying hinder lately. Hinder and yonder.
Hinder and yonder, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Hither and yon.
Yeah, but he's saying hinder. I don't know.
I like it. She spent a month in the hospital, and recovery was painful and slow. She couldn't go back to war, but she couldn't not do anything, and she still had a sense of duty as a soldier to assist in the cause.
Duty.
How?
He giggled too. I don't know. Were you giggling about duty also? I'm
duties.
Continue.
Fucking Chandler. Where the fuck was I?
Duty.
Duties. So she still had a sense of it. As a soldier to assist in the cause, however the Red Army could make use of her.
Smell of it, or
no, she had some duties to attend to, and the Red Army wanted to make sure that they were real good and stinky. By this point, she had amassed a kill count of 309 Axis soldiers.
She got the taste.
Yeah. She was made an officer, and then they turned her into a propagandist. They turned her into a mascot and sent her on a tour of the Allied nations.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Was Mickey Mouse there?
Yep. Ears and all.
Uh-huh. I mean, that's kind of...
I'm going to Disney World.
It's like I just have the image of Captain America, the montage of him going around Europe during the movie. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
With the songs and the dancing and the things, yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Yep, yeah, absolutely. She went with fellow sniper Vladimir Pchelintsev and government official Moscow Fuel Commissioner Nikolai Kravchenko on the tour to try and convince the Canadian Armed Forces and the U.S. military to open an offensive on the east side and help them fight the Nazis back into their own little box. And then set the box on fire.
Ah, yes.
Right. Don't forget to set the box on fire.
You gotta. Just kill it with fire. In Canada, they were greeted in Toronto at Union Station. The Canadian government presented her with a Winchester Model 70 rifle with a Weaver telescopic sight.
They said, keep that kill count growing.
Yes. You get those Nazis, girl.
You're authorized to continue killing.
Fuck yeah.
Soldier.
When they went to Coventry in England in November of 1942, they were able to collect 4,500 pounds from local workers to help pay for X-ray machines for the Red Army. In the U.S., she made history by becoming the first Soviet citizen to be received by a president of the United States. FDR and Eleanor Roosevelt greeted Lyudmila warmly, and Eleanor took her on a tour of the White House.
A lesbian tour.
Mm-hmm.
A lesbian tour.
Hopefully.
You're a bad bitch. Want a scissor?
Well.
Tour this White House, you know what I'm saying?
We have been talking about gashes all day, so...
I didn't start it, but...
You can finish it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Alright, so during this lesbian visit, apparently, Lyudmila it wasn't. We're speculating wildly. There's no evidence to say
Conspiracy corner.
There's conspiracy to say that
little,
Eleanor
very
was,
zero evidence to suggest Lyudmila was a lesbian.
And
So.
I'd just like to say for the record, I'm not mad at it.
That's fine. Anyway, so they go on this tour of the White House, and Lyudmila is sharing stories about being on the front lines, about what it was like to be a woman on the front lines specifically. And it gives Eleanor an idea. It gives her this wonderful, awful idea. She gets a little, like, grinchy smile, kind of, ooh, okay. She asks if Lyudmila would like to take a tour of the country and speak at multiple locations about all of these war efforts to try and inspire the citizens to take up arms. And of course, when I say country, I don't actually mean the country. I mean, like, the northeastern area of the country. Duh.
The coast.
Fucking duh. She attended meetings of the Congress of Industrial Organizations. She was gifted a raccoon. She was gifted a raccoon fur coat by Mayor LaGuardia. Yep. The U.S. government presented her with a Colt semi-automatic pistol. She was there to present information, talk about her experience.
Sniper. I mean, to be fair.
Yeah, they're giving her guns. I love it.
Like,
no.
Do you want another one?
Do you want another?
Do you want another one? Just keep that kill count rising. Just keep it rising.
Just keep that kill count
It'd be
going,
funnier
girl.
if she was just like a Russian diplomat. Like, here, have this gun.
Yeah. Which is not.
I was also going to say,
I know.
I think that's still, like, a fairly common, like, they probably still give guns at some point, like, in some places. Yeah. Anyway, she's there to inspire people, change minds, that kind of shit. She wants to educate people about the Soviets. And, of course, the media wasn't actually interested in hearing about her experience as a soldier and as her life as a woman on the front lines and that kind of... I mean, wasn't interested in all of the political speeches of the girl sniper, you know? They didn't want to know that.
They didn't want to give the women here too many ideas.
No. They wanted to ask the more important questions. That's the thing, is the media they know what they wanted to ask, and so they had other ideas of what was important. So we had far more lofty goals, Anneka, of journalism.
Because
they wanted to know what it was like to put on makeup in the battlefield.
Oh.
And what it was like to how did she keep her hair done?
How did
she keep her hair done when she'd been out for days?
Oh my goodness.
Also, she wanted to know why they wanted to know why her hemlines on her uniform skirt were so long, because in America, you know, we have much shorter skirts. They're a lot more flattering for your figure. You should probably take a few inches off the hemline.
Wear less clothes, honey.
Yeah.
It's better for battle.
Also, this whole uniform just isn't doing it for your figure, so why can't you just change that?
Can you make it look sexier?
Can you make yourself look more like a sex figure with a gun?
Can you...
We gave you the guns, but we want you to look sexy with the guns.
Like, there's got to be some sort of equipment where, like, when you shoot the gun, it also, like, pops your tits out or something, like...
Maybe that's where the holster can live, is like you put the butt of the gun between the tits, and that's like, yeah.
So they jiggle every time.
Yeah, exactly. The kickback just kind of makes them jiggle. It's like a whole apparatus thing.
Just been titnotized over here for the last 30 seconds. Yeah. Titties bouncing everywhere.
You're welcome.
Yes. Happy to oblige.
She answered these, obviously, unemotionally as fuck. She was direct about it. She would be like, I don't wear makeup. I didn't do my hair. This is my uniform. I'm not supposed to look sexy. She'd answer all of these
I'm a murderer.
We didn't wear makeup, you dumbass. I tied it like every other person. I don't fucking know. Who the fuck are you? Like, what? She didn't say all these things. I would have said all these things.
Yeah.
But she was probably a lot more diplomatic than I was. But the press basically because she didn't answer them the way that they wanted her to answer. It wasn't like who are you wearing? Oh my god, it's Oscar de la Renta uniforms. They just had a field day. They were like, oh, she's cold, she's a bitch.
Oh no.
Girl sniper is a bitch, who knew? How dare she not be enthusiastically answering our questions about who she's wearing while bullets were flying through the air, trying to penetrate her skull.
women these days.
Why wouldn't she be worried about her eyebrow makeup? Okay?
She should be.
Yeah, exactly.
What if she
Especially with
eyeshadow?
all those bullets
She's gotta
trying to
look
Yeah,
good
the
enough.
shading, she needs to get that shady, smoky eye just right.
Exactly.
Yep. And she can't actually use the smoke and the fucking charcoal from all around her in the actual war zone. It's got to be the makeup in addition. Right?
High-end.
Seems legit.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
how it works, right?
I think so.
While she was in Chicago, Lyudmila stood in front of a crowd of men, chiding them to support the Second Front. Quote, "Gentlemen, I am 26 years old, and I have killed 309 fascist invaders by now. Don't you think, gentlemen, that you have been hiding behind my back for too long?" Her words fell on a silent crowd, heavy and biting, and after a beat, the whole crowd exploded into uproarious applause.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
We're simultaneously enraged and aroused.
Yes! Yep.
Oh.
The lady with tits killed dudes!
More than we
Yes!
did. She told us to
That's
be
so-
better soldiers and men.
She pushed my dick back in my body. Her words hurt me.
Oh my goodness.
Anyway, so she returned back to the Ukraine, Soviet Union, sorry.
Over there.
She
Yonder.
returned back yonder, and she continued what she had already started as a lieutenant. She trained other snipers. In 1943, Officer Pavlichenko was awarded the Gold Star of the Hero of the Soviet Union, and she was also awarded the Order of Lenin twice. And even though she never saw combat again, she continued to train snipers for another 2 years up until the war ended in 1945.
Wow.
So the war's over. Now what?
Continue sniper training
Keep raising that kill count.
for the Russian government.
I love both of you are just fully into this, like, keep going, girl.
Contract killer.
Lord,
What are you talking about?
More kills, more kills, more kills.
How are you not going to kill more people? You're just satisfied with 309?
Yes,
You gotta, I don't know. I feel like you gotta make it an even number.
and even 310.
Yeah.
So she was fine with 309. She went right back to school.
Yeah, so they say.
She finished her degree. She was in her last year already, so she finished that out. She became a historian. Like, in 1945, she joined the Soviet Navy HQ, and she became a research assistant, and she worked there for the next 8 years.
Do you think she had like a Dexter kind of side hustle though, where she was just like
definitely
casually
do.
killing Nazis
For the Russian government?
free time? Because I hope so.
Let's just assume that that's yes.
Okay.
I would
Cool.
desperately want that to be true. She
Hey,
would
we
go
got
on.
word
She
there's
would
some
go on
Nazis
holiday.
hanging out
I was
in
gonna say
Paris.
she would go on holiday down to Argentina, and
Ah, yes.
Ah,
Holiday.
You know the drill.
Argentina.
You get caught, we don't know anything about it. But should your mission succeed, there's 30 grand waiting for you.
I'd kill a Nazi for probably 30 grand. Yeah, if I was in war. Yeah,
At that
30
time,
grand,
that was
for
a
sure.
fuckload of money.
that's a lot of money.
In the 40s?
Even now, that's a life changing.
now-
Like for
Yeah, but in
me
the
as a
40s,
poor
that's like
person, that's a
100 grand.
life changing amount of money.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, no, I would kill a Nazi for 30 grand.
See?
Yeah,
Easy.
see?
Doesn't seem that difficult.
Man.
I'd punch a Nazi for free.
I'll have
So
to tell you off mic, but
Just
I
for
just
fun.
remembered something about work yesterday.
Okay.
God forbid he listens to this. I don't want that to happen.
All right.
okay. Let's see. So she worked at the Soviet Navy HQ. She must have been knowledgeable of submarines. That was kind of the big focus of the Soviet Navy right after World War II, and they were stealing German information by like the Kriegsmarine designs, and they were proving things where they could.
What did we talk about? Operation Paperclip.
No, this is
Scientist lottery draft. It's already begun. It's 1945. It's happening.
Yep. She served on the Soviet Committee of the Veterans of War, and she never married again. Now that the war was over, PTSD and inherent alcoholism from growing up like that combined just sent her into super deep depression that lasted years.
Yeah, how do you, when you peak at 26, like
With 309 kills, yeah. I have toured I have toured around the world. I have seen farther than most of these people will ever see in their lives. I have taken more lives than anyone should ever have to take in their life.
And you grew up in a culture
lifetime.
that is best at fighting, fucking, and drinking.
Yes.
the trifecta of mental health.
Uh-huh.
Yep. And you have no one left to fuck. You don't have anyone left
Except
to fight.
Eleanor
What do you do?
Roosevelt.
You drink. The fighting's over. The fucking's done because she was still fucking heartbroken from her second Alexei.
Traumatized.
So you drink. You drink and you get super depressed.
Yep. That's why they're called downers, folks.